everyone, and welcome to another installment of TEDXcellence, the show in which I find out that I am my own grandpa. And I come to you live from my Corona bunker on the moon with Dog Cat Fox, a Pepperjack, and all of you. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Saturday. Spellbinding Saturday, I suppose. Sure, why not? Hope everyone is doing well today. I'm doing okay. I had a productive morning, I guess. I got out of bed, had breakfast, and then cleaned my bathroom. Oh, the excitement one can have when locked down in thine apartment. Yes, well. Anyway, that's my fun. Oh, I also wrapped some early Christmas presents. My family does a sort of combo Thanksgiving Christmas thing in between both holidays. We'll be doing that the first week of December. So I got to get ready now. So I got that all out of the way. Not all out of the way. I still have shopping to do. This is very interesting, isn't it? No, it's not. No, it's not. I think I'm avoiding something. You know what I'm avoiding? I'm probably avoiding today's TEDXcellence. Because I'm going to find out, we are going to find out how you are a living ancestor. I don't know what that means, but who's coming along with me today? Why, that would be that one servant of Satania. Let's try that again. That one servant of Satania. Hello. Black Belt for Christ. Hello. Kiever Dam. Hello. Lady Gopher. Hello. Tall Person. Hello. Nathaniel Taylor. Hello. Wade Waleson. Hello. Even though you're not here right now, but you will be eventually. Hello. Cynic. Hello. Earl Basham. Hello. And then chat jumped because, of course, it did. This is when everybody starts showing up. Brittany Holland, hello. Matt Barnes, hello. Thrashy, hello. Zeke Weiss, hello. You're Ridiculous Lunatic, hello. A Scanner Daphne, hello. Mike R, hello. Spiral Girl, hello. No Name, hello. Keenan, hello. Tall Person, thank you so much. Happy National American Teddy Bear Day. Yeah, that's right. American teddy bears. None of those knockoff German teddy bears or Mexican teddy bears. No, American teddy bears. That's right. Old Guy Gamer, hello. Jonathan Peterson, hello. Roger Reynolds, hello. Gamer Valine, hello. Excuse me. Joshua Wetzel, hello. Chicago Mike, hello. And then chat jumped again. Leo Prime 75, hello. Ebony Williams, hello. Faithless, hello. Pinkall, the Driving 8 Man, thank you so much. More lockdowns are expected here next week. Yeah, I'm anticipating more lockdown type behavior here as well in the coming weeks and or months, depending on things. Oh, well. Resolute Germ, hello. Quinn the Cultist, hello. Crimson Tiger, hello. Big Dave 1066, hello. And John Smith, hello. Oh, sorry. John Smith Sprint Cars Rule, hello. Get the full name there. All right. So you are a living ancestor. What does that mean? Well, I mean, I suppose that could be true if you're like Ranting Monkey. I mean, he's a grandfather, so technically he is a living ancestor to both his children and his grandchildren. So I guess that's the simple explanation. That's what it is, right? You are a living ancestor. I have no idea. I came to this one sight unseen, so to speak, so we'll find out together. There is a new bingo card, a revised bingo card. Get your copy in the description below. Link is there. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, let us find out how we are a living ancestor. As always, I will start off with a few seconds for sound test. You guys tell me if you can hear this, and then we will proceed.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I believe that our most important assignment as human beings living on this planet at this time is to embody our role as a living ancestor.
Okay, this is an essay. This sounds like an essay. All right. Thank you, Chicago Mike. Do I need a beer for this one? I don't know. Do you think your ancestors will feel it if you get drunk on this? That'd be really drunk. Okay. Our biggest role on this planet is to embody a living ancestor. Okay.
Now, that might sound a little confusing because of how we currently understand ancestry.
Well, okay, so you're going to redefine ancestry? Are we going to go for a new buzzword, buzz phrase by proxy here? Okay. Tell me why I shouldn't be confused.
Typically, when someone says that word, we conjure up someone who's come before us.
Yes. Yes, I believe, just for my own edification, if no one else's, let's look up the current, and I mean current definition of ancestor. An ancestor, oh, sorry, that's not the definition, that is a Wikipedia thing. Let me get the ancestor definition. Okay. No, not that. I want the definition of keyboard. Don't fail me now. Okay. Ancestor. Noun, plural, ancestors. Definition. A person, typically one more remote than a grandparent, from whom one is descended. Example, quote, my ancestor, Admiral Anson, circumnavigated the globe 250 years ago, unquote. That is the definition of ancestor. Someone who has come before you, someone from whom you are descended in your family line in some capacity. Classically. So why is that wrong?
A relative or a figure in our cultural lineage, but it's someone who's no longer living.
Well, generally speaking, yes. Ancestor is usually a memorial term, let's say. It doesn't technically have to be, all things considered. You could have a great-great-grandmother who's still alive that is your ancestor, even though she's not yet deceased, but okay, sure.
And yet, even if we're not always conscious of it, we know legacies are made while we live.
Yes. Because if you're not alive, you can't make or leave a legacy. Maybe I'm being too nitpicky.
Not just how and when we die.
Yes, if you spend your lifetime raising a family or building a business or doing something else, yes, these things happen while you're alive. It's true. Yeah, okay.
Now, I started seriously thinking about what it means to be a living ancestor in 2017 after attending a Black women's luncheon in Portland, Oregon.
That's very specific. Okay, I'm curious to find out why and wherefore. Thank you, Mike R. I get the feeling this is going to be another What About Slavery video. I don't know. I have no idea. I think she's about to tell us where this whole thing came from. And by the way, living ancestor, I'm going to just take that right now as new buzzword, buzz phrase, because it's new to me. So free space on the bingo card. And where did I put buzzword, buzzword? There it is. Attempt to coin new buzzword, buzz phrase. Living ancestor. All right. Tell me more about how at a luncheon you came up with living ancestor.
Hundreds of Black women gathered on that day, everyone from eager vendors with their colorful merchandise to revered local organizers to the suited up church ladies with those fashionable hats.
Waiting for relevance.
Everyone was there to celebrate the beauty that is us.
The beauty that is us. I know what she means. This is going to play into her story or to the purpose of this how, because otherwise I'm circling make something about race, sex, etc. for no reason. But we haven't gotten to the point yet where we can say there was no reason for it, so let's go on.
At one point during the program, elders were being honored for their contributions to our community.
Okay.
And one by one, each elder would stand up, receive a token of appreciation, and then they had an opportunity to get on the mic and share words of wisdom.
And someone said something so profound, it caused you to come up with living ancestor?
And I think there were about 8 elders that shared that day. All of them shared something so precious, but one elder's words remain seared upon my heart to this day.
Oh, I can't wait. Thank you, Pecoraro, the Driving Ape Man. Living Ancestors is a Warhammer 40K thing. Somehow, I don't think that's what she's referencing here. So, now, if she suddenly goes into in the grim dark future, there's only war. If she suddenly spurts that out, I'll be entertained to no end. Thank you, Lady Gopher, for the dog cat fox. We're number one. We're number one. All right. Tell me about the words of wisdom that so seared themselves on your heart. Thank you, Andrew James. Thanks for your work. Your work. Thank you, Andrew James. Appreciate it. That's very generous of you. I try. Too much, probably, but you know.
That elder came to the podium,
yes,
and with so much conviction,
yes,
she stated that her mission for this next phase of her life was to plant a seed for a tree under whose shade she knew she would not sit.
Ooh, that's deep. That is deep. And I'm certain that nothing of that sentiment has ever been expressed previously by anyone in any way, shape, or form. But okay, all right. She said something that really hit home for you. The idea of legacy, the idea of leaving something behind that betters the world in a way that wasn't there when you first arrived. Something like that. Okay, all right. All right. And then
she was focused on leaving behind and planting seeds, watering them, nurturing them for future generations to enjoy the fruit of.
Ooh, is this a tree of inclusion? Is that what is going to be providing the shade of inclusivity under which we can sit? I'm doing a callback for those of you that have been following along in TEDx's. Yeah, that's called a callback. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, it's okay. It's a joke between me and everybody else. It's fine.
And as I sat there, fully trying to absorb the weight of her words, it struck me.
Uh-oh.
Why wait until I reach elder status to begin planting seeds intentionally?
Well, nobody said you had to. I mean, presumably I don't know anything about our speaker, but I presume that at that point, if she's at a professional luncheon and everything, that she's either established or started to establish a career for herself. She has family members. Maybe she's got some kids, or maybe a husband or a wife, or maybe she's done something with her life, right? She's going to leave something behind, something. Like if it's a whole thing, right? If you get hit by a car tomorrow, you think for a second and say, if I walk outside to go to the grocery store in 10 minutes and I get hit by a car, can I say that I left behind something beneficial to somebody, that I was of use, that I did something good, that I helped someone, that I improved someone's life, or I left behind something that's better than when I found it, etc. I mean, it is a healthy sort of philosophical question to ask yourself, sort of a self-check, that kind of thing. Sure. I doubt that our speaker had done nothing in her life that was going to leave behind anything good up to that point. So, yeah, but regardless, okay, yeah, if you feel like you need to be a self-starter and not wait until you're elderly to quote-unquote plant seeds, whatever that means, go for it. Okay, more power to you. And then,
what would it be like to know, to act upon the fact that I'm building a legacy day by day?
I don't know. Do you have kids? I mean, most people think of legacy as the family they leave behind, or the situation they establish for their family or work to establish before, the end comes, and so on. So, or, charity work, or, if you're a doctor or you're doing a philanthropy kind of thing. I don't know. So what did you do? What did you decide to do day by day to plant a seed?
I'm a coach, and people come to me with these kinds of questions all the time.
Oh, you're a coach. I'm going to guess not a sports coach, or at least not primarily. Are you a life coach?
They are struggling and need support with what gets in the way for all of us. And that's coming up against other people's expectations. Sometimes we even adopt them ourselves.
Okay. Let's see. Gamer Valine says, El Gato Gordo Sir Lucifer the Fat has spoken. He is judging her heavily and agrees, Scriblight, and now is pawing at my face for pets. Aww. Putty tat. I got to back up. I'm not quite sure what our speaker was saying there. It kind of flowed over my brain. That might be word salad territory.
coach, and people come to me with these kinds of questions all the time. They are struggling and need support with what gets in the way for all of us. And that's coming up with other people's expectations.
Okay, well, here's a life thought for you. For the most part, save for the sake of staying within the boundaries of the law and perhaps codes of conduct at work and that kind of thing, don't care so much about what other people think of you or their expectations. Do what makes you happy. Do what makes you feel comfortable. So long as you're not harming anybody else, etc. Sounds very simple. I was told it and learned it very early on in life, thankfully. But I guess, life coaches have to have something to do, or else, if there weren't people that needed that kind of advice. But okay. Yeah, coming up against other people's expectations. It's a terrible thing.
Sometimes we even adopt them ourselves.
Right, yeah.
So these potential clients, they fall into one of two extremes.
One of two. That is a list. Circling a list. Got that one quick. Okay. One of two extremes. Let's see. Clients who, let's see, they either lack confidence or they're overconfident. Something to that effect.
Those extremes let me know right away how fast we're going to move in our journey together.
Okay.
That first category are folks who are on the fence. And trust me, they're not getting off anytime soon.
If they're not getting off anytime soon, I could have easily gone into a very risque joke just then. On the fence about what? What are they on the fence about?
They are waiting on a conditional state in order to live their life to the fullest.
Okay.
So I hear a lot of, well, when my kids get older, then I'll be able to, or when my bank account reaches a certain amount, Stephanie, then I'll finally have enough.
Okay, so they're looking for their comfort zone and so on. All right, they're being cautious. All right, that's one extreme, being cautious. Is the other extreme the people who have no caution, throw caution to the wind, as it were?
Or when I lose X amount of pounds, then it'll be okay for me too. I call these folks the mythical someday crew.
The mythical someday crew. Doesn't quite roll off the tongue, but okay. If I hadn't already circled attempt to coin new buzzword buzz phrase, I would do so now. Okay, so you have clients who are waiting for the perfect moment to act and keep kicking the can down the road. Now, I don't know what it means to act because you haven't defined exactly what you're talking about. I'm looking at you, leaves out vital context, but we'll give it some time. And
unfortunately, we all know that someday is not a date on the calendar.
Yes, when someone feels comfortable enough and secure enough in their situation, their family, their finances, and so on, that they can do X, Y, Z, PDQ. Unless you're a very, very organized person, it's very difficult to put a deadline on a calendar. It's true. Okay. And?
The second category of folks, they're on the other extremes. They cannot wait to get started. Some have received a negative diagnosis of some kind.
What?
Or death is at their door.
What? I'll give you. That's an extreme. That's an extreme. You have X number of months to live. Okay. Thank you, Pecoraro, the driving ape man. Personal responsibility, a racist social construct. I'm not quite sure. Okay, so your two extremes are, I'm living my life, and she hasn't even told us yet what defines planting seeds. Like, what do you mean? Like, what kinds of things do you think fall into the category of leaving a legacy? In the one instance you said, when my kids get old enough, etc. Well, someone's kids are part of their legacy. They're building a legacy right there, raising their kids. But what do you mean? What kind of activities do you classify as planting seeds, leaving a legacy? What is it that someone who's raising their kids and living their life isn't doing being a fence sitter that they should be doing, or you recommend that they be doing to create this legacy? And what does any of that have to do with being a living ancestor? Questions I'm not sure I'll get answers to, but I ask them all the same.
Whether it's their own or someone close to them. Either way, it has them thinking about life way differently. And all of a sudden, that dusty bucket list, that's at the forefront of their minds.
Oh, the bucket list? Like, I'm going to go hike the Appalachian Trail, or join the Mile High Club, or any other euphemism for sex I can think of. That kind of thing. Is that really leaving a legacy? I mean, I guess it could be leaving a legend, depending on what you're doing, but the bucket list. I thought we were talking about planting seeds and what are we talking about?
Not other people's opinions or society's confines. The good news is you don't have to wait until a conditional date.
Oh, I don't. Okay, well, I hadn't really thought about what am I waiting for again to do it now? Huh?
You don't have to wait till death is knocking at your door or receive a negative diagnosis to be thinking about the legacy you will leave on this planet.
The legacy I will leave on this planet. Boy, oh boy, what legacy will I leave? Like, if I got hit by a bus right now, what would I leave behind? Well, I'd leave behind, and I have actually thought about this. For all intents and purposes, the largest storehouse of anything that I would leave behind to have any impact on anybody beyond my immediate circle would probably be this YouTube channel. It might be a sad statement to make, but all things considered, in some way or another, I have interacted with more people, and if we're talking butterfly effect kind of thing, had more of an effect on the world simply through this YouTube channel than in any other endeavor I have undertaken in my lifetime. So long as YouTube will archive this stuff, I suppose, barring something else that I may do in life, this is kind of a legacy. Or maybe, I don't know. Moon Poon?
Each of us as living ancestors are shifting the course of human history.
Oh my God.
By the way we are and what we do on a daily basis.
Everyone does that. Whether they are following your advice or not. Everybody in their own little way contributes to something in someone's life, and that contributes to something else in someone's, on and on. Everybody does that. What are we talking about? What kind of activities are you talking about? If you're talking about personal goals, bucket list stuff before I die, that's a lot different than building a legacy. You know, going, I don't know, hang gliding or something doesn't leave a legacy. It's just a fun activity, if that's your thing, I guess. So what are we talking about? I'm looking at Leaves Out Vital Context really hard right now.
None of us is operating in a neutral space. Every single thought, every belief, every action, we are either reinforcing the way things have always been, or we're actually pushing up against the status quo. And I believe that if more people understood the power of the present that they're creating, our world would be completely and forever transformed.
I'm circling word salad because she's not making any sense of anything. She's not giving us any specificity. It sounds like a Hallmark card just like expanded out into a Netflix series. Please, I'll take it back if she, winnows it down to something more concrete. But what are you talking about? What kind of change do you mean? What kind of legacy are you implying? What kind of activities are we going for here? What separates just doing something I want to do for fun and something that's going to quote unquote build a legacy between now and when I die? Like what are you talking about?
Luckily, we as living ancestors, we have access to two sacred practices that are crucial to informing how we can consciously construct our day-to-day.
Consciously construct our day-to-day. I do appreciate alliteration. Chicago Mike says she's mind reading. Is she? Let's take a look at the bingo card while we're here. Marginalization. No. Takes credit for something done or experienced by others in their demographic. No. Leaves out vital context. I'm going to circle that one just on spec, because at this point, I'm not getting a whole lot, and she's almost halfway through her talk, and she hasn't even defined what constitutes a legacy building activity versus bucket list. I don't know. Feminism? No. Microaggressions and conscious bias? No. Anecdote that probably never happened. She hasn't given us any anecdotes. Contradicts own point or argument. I'm not even sure what her argument is. Toxic? No. Plays victim? No. Mind reading assumes motives. Yeah, she was talking very broadly about people in general and so on and so forth. So I will circle mind reading assumes motive. Benevolent condescension. I could see an argument for that, but I'm going to wait a little longer. Just because that's the bingo square right there, and I'm not sure I'm going to circle that one just yet. Patriarchy, no. Wage gap, no. Systemic, institutional. I don't believe so. Privilege, no. Childhood or family anecdote. I don't believe she's talked about herself yet in that regard. Self-vilification, wretchedness, by no means. Equity, no. Weightless example. She hasn't given us an example. Well, I mean, we're only anecdote so far. Sorry, I take it. There was an anecdote. The anecdote was she went to that luncheon. But there's nothing about that anecdote that sounded beyond the pale of reasonableness, so I'm not going to... Weightless example, no examples. Make something about race, sex, etc. for no reason. The luncheon with, like, all the beautiful women who happen to be black and everything. Like, what does that have to do with anything? Don't know. Never defined it. I'm circling that one. White supremacy, no. Keeverdam says, I circled takes credit. Takes credit for what? I would be curious to know. If I miss your argument, Keeverdam, be sure to save it for after the show or after the video so I can take that in. Okay, so right now I have circled. Leaves out vital context, attempt to coin new buzzword, buzz phrase, word salad, mind reading assumes motives, free space, a list, and make something about race, sex, etc. for no reason. Remember, guys, get the new bingo card. Links in the description. I switched things up starting for this video. So, okay. Anyway, where were we?
That first practice is to remember the past. To remember the past is to more fully understand our present.
I can only remember my past, if that's what you mean. I don't know what you mean, but I literally can only remember my own past. I can't remember anyone else's or any other. But okay.
When my parents have time on the weekends, I sit down and I listen to them tell their life stories over Zoom.
Uh-oh, childhood or family anecdote. There we go. It's a brief anecdote, or a small one maybe, but okay. Your parents over Zoom.
And let me tell y'all, it got really juicy when each parent came to the place in their story when they met each other.
Oh my gosh, how did you two meet? Yeah, I mean, good for you and good for your parents. It's kind of a cliche sort of thing, but okay.
There were just a couple discrepancies on who said and did what.
So they weren't remembering their past? Well, how dare they forget such details?
This started as a get-to-know-you exercise, and I think I had an inkling that capturing their stories would be useful for posterity's sake.
Capturing people's stories for posterity's sake. You had an inkling it would be useful. Yes, because, you know, recording people's stories is an unknown practice or something.
What I didn't fully grasp until later was that the telling of these stories, the telling of them themselves, is a transformative act. I understand better who they are and also who I am too.
Okay. This is sort of like the last TEDXcellence where someone's saying something that is sort of boilerplate common sense or common human experience kind of thing. She's not telling me anything new here, anything innovative, anything revelatory. I mean, I'm happy for her that she's found this process of storytelling so compelling. Okay.
And in this way, remembering is a crucial aspect of our identity formation.
Wait, my ability to recall my own past is important for my identity formation? Oh my gosh, I cannot believe it. If only I had amnesia so I could rediscover my identity every day. You ever see that movie, Memento? The guy whose memory only goes back like to the point at which he had a tragic trauma, and he can't remember anything after that point. He has to remind himself of everything every like 20 minutes or something. He's got his whole body tattooed with some reminders and things. That's what I'm thinking about right now as I listen to that statement. Like, what? Okay.
Literally, to remember is to put ourselves back together.
It's like somebody just found a new toy, right? It's like, look what I can, or like you take somebody from, I don't know, the distant past or something and bring them in. And it's like, look at this magic cloth. Oh, look how I put water on it and it just goes away. Oh, now it pulls apart. How did that cloth happen? Well, you see, it's actually wood pulp. It's what? Yes, we call them paper towels. What? Thank you, Chicago Mike. I was thinking 50 First Dates. Oh, that's another good one. Yeah, 50 First Dates. To remember is to put ourselves back together, not reconstruct or rebuild or reassemble. No, to remember. Okay. I wish I could get so excited over such mundane things.
My parents telling their stories has helped me piece together and better grasp what I'm going through.
Okay, now there's a kernel of truth there, real quick. Thank you, formerly Rodline. Didn't Greeks figure out storytelling with Homer? If not Homer, then maybe Marge. Okay, that was a lame joke. I only know 3 jokes, and that's probably the worst one. Thank you, Rod. Yes, speaking to your parents, finding out about things about them, their history, and so on can be useful for informing things about yourself. I'll give an example, one that I've given several times, but for the sake of relevance. I grew up with a father who was very quick to anger and a very difficult person to grow up with. And he caused a lot of, let's just say emotionally and psychic damage over the course of mine and my sister's growing up. Not physically abusive. I want to make sure that that's nothing. But he was a very difficult guy to get along with. It wasn't until later in life, in my early 20s, that I started experiencing anxiety disorder. It just kind of bubbled up in me. And around that same time, the same thing happened to my sister. We both sort of grew into sudden bursts of irrational fear, anxiousness, and so on and so forth. And it was at that moment that I realized what my father was doing or going through was something that was probably undiagnosed anxiety disorder, and he didn't have any control over it, just like now I didn't have any control over it. And a lot of things about what I understood about my father became much clearer. And the forgiveness in me to understand where he must have been coming from and what he must have been struggling with without any kind of outlet or way to cope or diagnosis kind of made me forgive him for a whole bunch of stuff. And our relationship strengthened, and talking to him about it, that's kind of what happened. So yeah, finding out things about your parents or your ancestors may tell you something about, where you come from, or maybe some elements of your makeup that didn't make sense until you had a point of reference. Okay, I stipulate that's not new. That's not novel or innovative. That is so basic. And again, I'm glad for our speaker that she has discovered this in herself or with her family. And maybe some of her clients are also so disconnected from common human experience that they find her advice on the subject useful. So, okay, I'm trying to be generous here. What does this have to do with leaving a legacy? What are you talking about when you say take action before you die and so on and so forth? What do you mean?
In a collective sense, the same is true. Living ancestors, we must remember our past. Otherwise, we are doomed to repeat it.
Could you at least come up with a new way of saying that?
Because we haven't fully grieved the past or reckoned with it.
What grieved the past or reckoned? I feel like a broken record. I am a broken record. I apologize. But once again, what are you talking about? Specificity, please.
Right now, our collective memory is pretty short. It's one of the reasons why we can't remember the latest Black Lives Matter hashtag.
Okay. As far as memories being short, I will grant her that, as Satsu has said many, many, many times in the past, history started in 2016 because anything and everything that occurred after that was suddenly some new thing or had never been done before, never said before, so on and so forth. So on that score, I agree with her. What any of that has to do with the latest Black Lives Matter hashtag, why hashtags of all things should be items that I spare memory space for, I don't know. But at 7 minutes into an 11-minute, 37-second presentation, are we finally getting to the meat of the matter?
But if we want this moment to be different, we would have to see that it isn't new. It is a recreation of our past.
What is? What is a recreation of our... Okay, fill in the blank with what I'd say otherwise.
And all of the revolutions, all of the movements of those times, they hold so much wisdom for us here today.
What?
From how we need to resist.
What?
To how we need to slow down and to rest.
What? Can you hear my confusion? I think you can. I think I made it fairly plain. What is a living ancestor? What activities build a legacy? What?
Which means nothing about 2020. And I mean nothing. Not the pandemic, not the global mainstream uprising for Black lives, not social and political unrest. Nothing that has happened here in 2020 will matter if we forget to remember.
Do you think that of all the years in recent memory, the events of 2020 will be forgotten anytime soon? You really think any of this is going to go away anytime soon? I mean, just given the electronic record, the amount of ink that has been spilt on paper over the events of this year alone. If we forget to remember. I met somebody once who said, they're being very braggadocious. They said, I have a perfect memory. I don't forget anything. And I looked at him and I said, how would you know if you did? That stumped him. Thank you, Chicago Mike. We need a space on the bingo card called Confusing Scribe Light. We used to have, Scribe loses his mind in the first 30 seconds as a square or something on the card. But that was so hit or miss, rare event kind of thing that, yeah. But me losing my mind with TEDXcellences is so common. I don't know that I want to put a square on there. There's got to be at least a chance of failure on the card. You know, there's got to be a chance that we won't circle a particular square. Putting scribe melts down is almost a given on most of these. But anyway, we cannot forget to remember. Go.
Our collective memory gets embodied and encoded for generations to come.
There is no collective memory. We do not have a collective memory. The closest you're going to come is either books or writing or recordings and so on and so forth. But 99% of the time, those are all put through the filter of bias, perspective, so on and so forth. We do not have a collective memory. I don't know what you... Okay, and if we do, I don't know what you mean when you say that. Not having explained your terms here, I don't know what you're talking about.
And it is stronger and more accurate than any history book will ever be.
Horse hockey. My memory... What was that quote? I think it was... I want to say it's always attributed to Benjamin Franklin, but I could be mistaken. It's something to the effect of, the weakest ink is better than the strongest memory. Okay? This is why people take notes. This is why, police officers years down the line have to go back and refer to their notes from a case from 20 years ago, because there's probably something in there that they've forgotten, because God knows why wouldn't they? No, I'm sorry. Our collective cultural memory is not better than a history book or a recording or documentary and evidence or something. No. Because tell me, and this, I would really love to ask our speaker this. Has she heard of the term unconscious bias? Or just bias in general? Or the faultiness of memory? You just told us a story about how your parents couldn't remember exactly who said what. Well, their collective memory wasn't better than a history book. Their collective memory wasn't better than writing something down. They forgot the details. And don't the details matter when you're trying to establish a legacy? I don't know. I'm just assuming so, because you haven't told us what you mean when you say establish a legacy. I don't know. Ebony Williams, ink like pen ink? Yeah, ink. Ink is better than the strongest memory. Or ink is more reliable than the strongest memory, that kind of thing. Thank you, Mr. Tickletrunk. Quote, we must rely on human memory that changes over time and play broken telephone instead of reading books, unquote. Yeah, I don't know what she means here. I haven't known what she's meant for most of this. But, okay, our collective memory is better than a history book. Okay.
And that's why we have to preserve it.
But preserve it through what? Okay, I cut her off, but I mean, we can't preserve our memories in a history book or a memoir, I guess, or something. So how do we preserve it?
And it is stronger and more accurate than any history book will ever be.
No.
And that's why we have to preserve it through the act of remembering.
What? We have to preserve our collective memory through the act of remembering. What?
Living ancestors, besides remembering the past, we have another sacred practice.
Is that preparing for the future? Or something to that extent? This sounds like that bit in Mystery Men. You ever see Mystery Men where Mr. Furious is sort of quizzing the Sphinx about all his wisdom and everything? It's like, what was it? You must master your fear, or else fear will become your master. That's not what I was going to say. Yeah, right? Yeah, it's like, yeah, just keep reversing it. Okay, so remembering the past and forging the future?
To help us construct the here and now.
Well, the here and now, I guess that's technically not the future, because it's always now. It's not later. Well, now it is. Now it's not. Now it's later. Now it's never mind.
And that is dreaming ourselves into the future.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. All right. I was close.
We are tasked with finding ways to currently create a world that doesn't yet exist.
Uh-huh.
All of the work I do in the world is all about identity.
You know, I absolutely believe you.
It's about who we are, why we're here, and how we're supposed to be with one another.
I would be skeptical if it's really about who so much as what, given your previous comments, but I digress.
When I imagine the end goal of individuals, of communities, of companies, of systems doing their respective identity work.
Systems, I'll take that as systemic, institutional. Identity work. Backing up a little bit because I cut her off. Identity work.
Of companies, of systems doing their respective identity work. I see a world where everyone is free, whole, and enough.
What does any of that mean? What does that mean? Free, whole, and enough. Free of what? Whole what? Enough for what? For who? What?
It's a world I haven't seen or experienced wholesale just yet.
And you never will. There is no perfect world. There is no perfect state of being. Life is unfair. The world is unjust. Everything will be out of balance towards one set of people and against another set of people. Thus is the way of all things now and forever. Do the best you can with the time you are allotted to make the best life you're able to. That's about all you can do. That's it. And even then, these slings and arrows of outrageous fortune will visit upon you from time to time, despite your best efforts. That's life. It always will be. Doesn't mean you should stop trying to make a good life for yourself and a better life for others. You know, do the best that you can. But it's never going to all even out. Your evening out is going to be someone else's oppression. I don't know if you understand that. Maybe that'll be another revelation you have down the road, like telling stories is good and stuff.
But instead of waiting until it's true or for someone else to make it so, I am practicing that future now.
How? Okay, give me, please, even if it's just yours, what is an example of what you're talking about? Something. Just give me something I can dig my teeth into here on what you mean. Because we've gone 9 minutes of an 11-minute, 37-second talk, and you haven't given us any specificity as to what you consider to be an action, an activity, whatever, that leaves legacy, that leaves something, that will leave something behind by the time you pass away. What are you doing? Maybe I can find some parallels to myself.
Every single day, I think about how I can embody being just a little more free, sitting a little more fully in my wholeness, and embracing just a little bit more enoughness.
Specificity. That's all I want. Just a little bit, please. Come on. Do people pay you for? I assume people have to be paying you for this. Advice. Your enoughness. Your wholeness. Anything? You got a couple minutes? Anything?
I've seen how doing so makes room for others to try it on as well.
Try what? What are you talking about? Like, okay, you want to set an example. Okay, you want to be a role model. A little presumptuous, but okay. But by doing what? Sitting in your wholeness? That sounds like some kind of exotic sex act or something. What do you... My enoughness? What is my enough? Am I enough? God, Scribe, I don't know. Are you enough? Enough for what? What am I enough for? Am I enough for me? I got to do this now. Okay. Okay. Sitting in my wholeness. I am whole currently. Right? I don't have any detached parts. I'm not losing any limbs. I'm not a leper or anything. Okay. All right. I'm sitting in my wholeness here in front of my computer. What does that mean? I don't know. Am I enough? Enough for who? Enough for what? Well, the most important question is, am I enough for me? Am I making me happy? Am I my happiest self? Well, I can say probably not. I got a lot of things to work on. I got a lot of, sort of insecurities, let's say. I'm probably in as good a place as I've been most of my life. I mean, all things considered, got my health, I got a roof over my head. I can't complain too much about that. I'm still employed, fingers crossed, knock wood. But then what? What am I supposed to do? You need to tell me what it is I'm supposed to do. Like, what is it that I'm not doing that I should be doing more of to leave a legacy? You need to tell me this. You're the life coach. What does all this mean?
And that is how transformation happens. As I shift how I see and treat myself, it shifts how I see and treat other people. And each of us doing that in the many communities we're part of, it starts a ripple effect of change.
Thank you, absolute. Sorry. Thank you, Resolute Germ. You're not enough, Scribe. You're too much. I know. I'm too loud. It's part of the thing. I get all like energized and boisterous on here, and you quiet down a second, find my center, increase my calm, John Spartan. Okay. If I treat myself better, I will treat other people better. If I'm kind to myself, I will treat others with kindness. If I think sexy thoughts of myself, I will think sexy thoughts of others. Oh, sorry. I was losing myself in my wholeness there for a second.
And so it applies to our collective path. Think of any pivotal moment in history. We've always had people practicing the possibilities of a future they haven't yet known.
What? Practicing the possibilities of a future they haven't yet known. Okay, Gene Roddenberry imagined the flip phone before it ever existed. Okay, I guess. I don't know.
To get us closer to that future.
What? I want a future with a moon base. Okay, that's all I want. Like, okay, well, Scribe, what are you doing to get a moon base? Like, well, I can't do anything. I'm not a rocket scientist. I'm not a politician. I can just sort of like hope and vote people into office that'll put moon base up there. I don't know that I'll ever get there myself, but I just want a moon base. It's not like, it's sort of one of those things. It's like, I don't need to have it. I just need to know it exists, right? I just need to know it's there. I don't know. I'm all over the place right now.
Enslaved Africans ran toward a freedom they hadn't yet seen.
Our
civil rights comrades walked for years, boycotting public transportation.
Comrades, collective memory. I'm getting a sneaking suspicion.
Not knowing what the outcome would be.
Yes.
And now, for us, what will our future generations say we practiced in order to make their reality a possibility?
Live streaming in Fortnite. I'm guessing, all things considered. If we're talking about just volume of attention, probably.
Y'all, we are living ancestors. We got history to make. Our lives are the front lines, and everything we do, everything we are, is planting a seed. Our work, the work we're sent here to do, it cannot be outsourced. You know, I think about that elder who...
Okay. Pablum. Absolute tripe. Nothing. Aerogel. It's another round of verbal aerogel. That's it. All right, you're thinking about that elder
who shared at the luncheon so very often.
Yeah.
I think about what it took for me to be on this planet.
Your mother and your father loving each other very much.
In order to be in Portland, to be invited to that luncheon, to hear those words at that very specific time.
Yes, we can all take a moment and go through an infinite regression of all the possibilities and all the things that had to line up to get us from point A to point B to the current moment. Yes, it's true. It's a very, very interesting mental exercise at times. You know, I'll be walking to work, and I'll just be walking across the little footbridge thing that I have to go through to go over to the other side of the freeway, and I'll look at the chain link fence. Right? Okay, let's do this little mental exercise for a second. What dozens, thousands, millions of little decisions and things had to go into the creation of that chain link fence? And I'm not just talking about the machine that put it together. I'm talking about mining the metal, the discovery of the metal, the discovery of metallurgy, the discovery of refining that metal, the person who designed the fence, the machines necessary to create the fence, who built those machines, how many dozens of other ideas and things had to line up to create all the components that made that machine, and on and on and on. Infinite regression, thinking about all the things that had to happen to put that chain link fence there on that footpath, right? It's kind of a nice thing sometimes to think about just how much history, how much ingenuity, how much labor, everything went into something as simple as a chain link fence if you go back far enough and think about all the variances that had to take place to get there, right? It's a fun mental exercise, or at least something to do when you're walking to work and got nothing else to think about. Sure. Okay. All the things that put you in Portland at that luncheon at that time. To hear that lady say something that is about as Hallmark card a thing as you could ever imagine, somehow it was brand new to you. Okay, well, good for you, I guess.
I think a lot about how her story has traveled since then. I've shared with so many friends and family. It's been retold on my podcast and through its artwork, which has reached thousands across the globe. And now that story is reaching you and countless others who are listening.
Yes.
Let the seeds of that elder's story and its impact serve as a powerful reminder that you are a living ancestor. Thank you.
No, you didn't prove your point. You never explained anything. Doesn't make any sense. Now, to her credit, such as it is, would any of you have heard her words on this subject if I hadn't randomly decided to pick out this video today to review? Probably not. So the chain continues. I guess. I don't know. Okay, well, let's bring up the bingo card, because really that's all we're going to get out of this, I think, probably. All right, marginalization. No. Takes credit for something done, experienced by others in their demographic. She was really reaching with her family line and other social movements or historical events and so on, comrades, etc. So, yeah, I'm going to circle that one. Feminism, no. Microaggressions, unconscious bias, no. Anecdote that probably never happened. I believe that she went to a luncheon in Portland and heard a lady say a thing. I don't know what else to tell you. I believe that she spoke to her parents about how they met. These things sound reasonable to me. Contradicts own point or argument. I don't know what her point was. I don't know what her argument was. I don't know. Toxic? No. Plays victim? No. Benevolent condescension. I feel like I was talked down to this whole time. I feel like when she was referring to her clients and what help she brings them, if this is the kind of help she's bringing, I feel it's kind of condescending, all things considered. And so that being the case, guys, can you believe it?
Ooh, that's a bingo.
Right?
Yeah! We have our first bingo, perhaps our only bingo, but let us continue. Patriarchy, no. Wage gap, no. Privilege, no. Self-vilification or wretchedness, no. At no point did she ever come across like that. Equity, no. Weightless example. I mean, she didn't give any examples. The couple that she did give, I guess, I don't know. You guys tell me on that one. I'm not sure. White supremacy, no. She did bring up the civil rights movement, etc. So you could, if you really wanted to stretch. But okay. So anyway, that is the bingo card as I have it currently. I will take arguments for other squares to be circled. It's going to take quite a bit to get to another bingo. I don't get to another bingo, but you never know. Let's see. Sadistic atheist. What about personal privilege? She expressed her own privilege to be where she is now. That sounded more like just chance, happenstance, and so on, not privilege so much. J2020. She brought up Black Lives Matter, insta white supremacy. Okay, well, she brought up Black Lives Matter. She brought up the civil rights movement. 2020, this moment. Okay. I'll give it to you at a stretch, only because it's not going to immediately give us a bingo, so I don't feel too bad about it. So there you go. Let me update the image. There we go. Okay. So I'll give you white supremacy in aggregate, if nothing, in reference. Monsent, God, I still despise the bingo sound effect, though. Really? You don't like that? That's from Inglourious Bastards. Somebody told me that there's a good bingo quote from a Leslie Nielsen movie somewhere, one of the Naked Gun movies or something. Maybe I'll cook up a secondary bingo alert for some variety. I'll try to do that, just to have a little change. Let's see. Monson, anecdote that didn't happen. She does not have all these people coming to her for advice. Oh. Is that an anecdote, or is that just someone being hyperbolic? I don't know that that's an anecdote. An anecdote has to be kind of a story. Something more than just that kind of thing. Yeah. Kiefer Danlin says, then Cenk and I think Little John. Yeah, it's Cenk going right and then Little John going, yeah. It's supposed to be a little obnoxious, you know, a celebratory obnoxious, and working in things that I've used in my videos in the past. But let's see. X Chiller X, as her point was pointless, her examples are weightless. It's not a bad argument, honestly. You know what? You got me. You got me on that one. If you give a bunch of examples, but you never reach a point, then the examples are all pretty much pointless. All right. Weightless example. You convinced me on that one. I don't think we're going to get to any of the others. I'll give another couple minutes here if you guys have any arguments elsewise. Bastard Beast, chat's homework, find better bingos. Sure. Okay. If you know of some brief little sound clips of someone going bingo or something like that, tweet me a link to the video or tell me about it. Maybe I can find it somewhere. And I'll try to come up with a couple extra alternative bingo alert noises for the future. Okay. I know that there's plenty out there. There's plenty of instances in movies and things where somebody goes, bingo. But in fact, I think I just reminded myself of one. Bingo. Isn't that, was that the guy from UHF? Isn't there somebody from the movie UHF who goes bingo or something like that? I might be misremembering, but I'll have to draw on my collective memory to see if I can find that one. Let's see. Dumpster fire. I just love the Inglourious Basterds, so I can't complain about the sound clip. Hey, and that advising me or suggesting the Inglourious Basterds thing, that was actually Kurt Metzger. He suggested that, and so that's. I'm not blaming him. I'm giving him credit, but that's where that comes from. Let's see. Well, Monsense as well. Sorry for bringing you down with the sound effect comment. It's just my personal opinion. No, it's fine. But hey, we are a team, guys. We tackle these things one by one for new knowledge and to dispel nonsense when we find it, which is often. But sometimes, either way, I want to make sure I make it as entertaining for you as it is for me. If you call this entertainment. It's probably self-abuse of a kind. But anyway, let's see. Chiller says, she implied our modern lack of collective memory was toxic to civilized discussion. No. Sorry. No, that's a bridge too far, I'm afraid. Yeah, you'd have to really, really find something to tell me that circling toxic at this point, it would have to be her saying the word, and she never did. So, but I think, guys, that's where we're at. We got a bingo out of this, so it wasn't all for naught, even though her entire presentation really was, at least for our own sake, our own entertainment, there was a little bit of a silver lining, as thin as it might be. Well, with that, guys, I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Thank you for your attendance. Thank you so much for your participation, especially your argumentation near the end here. For those of you that donated, thank you. Thank you so much for your generosity. I really do appreciate it. If you would like to hear more from me or Satsu 2 Cents or the Ranting Monkey, you can find all three of us tonight on the Ranting Monkeys channel at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern for The Lords of the Night, where we will talk about the news of the day, news stories that you submit, what we've been up to on the internet, and then your questions and comments. Everyone, I hope you're having a good Saturday. I hope you're all safe and well. If you're not well, please get well soon. And I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.